So Anker SOLIX reached out to me and asked if I wanted to review their F2000. And I looked at the specs and I said it looks just like the Powerhouse 767 because it's the same thing. Anker rebranded to Anker SOLIX and then they renamed the Powerhouse 767 to the F2000. And since I've been using two of them for the past 6 months, I decided instead of doing a whole nother review of the same thing, I would just give you guys a 6-month update on how I've been using them and why I still use it, even though there are more powerful solar generators around that have more solar input and higher output. It's kind of a mess in here, so don't judge me. I built this desk. It's my favorite piece of furniture. All right, we're getting low for this one. So in my studio for the past 6 months, I've been using the Anker SOLIX F2000, one here and a second one over here. I've got them configured that way because you can only put one extra battery on each Anker SOLIX F2000. I've got that one up here, and that will add an additional 2 kilowatts to the F2000. And so I have the second one up here that powers my whole studio light situation. That one's plugged into the AC output of the first one, right there. And the rest of the outlets on the first one are consumed by other electronics that I don't turn off, sort of like my battery charging station, which is up here in my gear closet somewhere, the suitcase of Aperture MC Pro lights, and a couple other lights that I turn on and off without turning the rest of my studio on and off. And then I have the lights that I use while I'm filming all plugged into the second powerhouse. That way, if I want to turn my whole studio on and off, all I have to do is hit one button and then I can start filming. I've also got my monitor plugged into that same power strip, so all the lights plus the monitor that I use. See, now I'm filming you. So there's you, and then there's the monitor. That monitor is turned on with all the lights as soon as I hit this button. Here, let's go ahead and toggle the power. Boom. And the whole studio is turned off, except for one light that, like I said, that's plugged into the first powerhouse. But I kind of need those lights, so let's turn it back on. So I've got the first powerhouse hooked up to a bunch of solar panels outside in my backyard. I've got one cable that comes through, and it's, look, I know it's not the best setup. That array is set up at about 48 volts, and it will bring in about 800 watts, usually throughout the whole day. Right now it's really late, so I don't have any solar production. You can use all kinds of different solar panels. You're not limited to one brand, and I'll show you that array right now. Here's my array. I do have some panels that are not Ankers there. I've got the two 48 volt Anker 200 watt panels, so that's 400 watts of Anker SOLIX power. And then the rest of it's just third-party panels that are all plugged into the same array. We got that one taken down right now because of those hurricane winds that we had. I didn't want it to be blown over, but everything else was just fine like this. I had to take a detour. It's now nighttime. I saw a bunch of bins that were upright from during those hurricanes, and they were filled with water, and there was a bunch of mosquito larvae in them. So I did some Googling and I got some mosquito dunks to try and kill all those mosquito larvae because I do not want to be dealing with that. Anyways, back to the power station. I really like that it has 1,000 watts of solar input on a single wire instead of two different controllers, because my setup is so jank, I don't want to put another wire through my window. So it's like this power station was just made for me. So I use the first powerhouse that's usually plugged into my solar to charge all the other power stations that I've been reviewing on my channel. With the main unit plus the extra battery, I've got 4 kilowatts to charge any of these other power stations as they come through, and most of them don't have a battery larger than 4 kilowatts. We will have some bigger ones coming in soon, but at least in the meantime, this solution has worked really, really well for me. And then if this one is completely depleted, I don't have to worry because I've got the other powerhouse that powers my whole studio. So even when this one dies, I can still film for like a whole day if I wanted to. So it's just been really great experimenting with these different setups using the F2000 because it's been reliable the entire time I've used it. And even though it doesn't have Wi-Fi, it does have Bluetooth, and the Bluetooth works pretty well. In fact, this unit has been more reliable than my EcoFlow products. I've got one that's got a busted screen right now. Watch what happens when I try and use it. It works, it'll draw power, but it won't tell you what's happening. So I can never get a read on what's actually happening unless I use the Wi-Fi app, because the Wi-Fi app still works. I've got to send this one back to service. And from what I've heard, the EcoFlow service is not the easiest to work with, but I'll let you know what I find out. Oh, one more thing that's not like a super huge big deal, but it's just like a matter of convenience versus the EcoFlow Delta Pro. is the location of the little tow bar thing. Because like usually I have stuff like on the floor next to it and it's just easy to kind of maneuver it really quickly. But on the EcoFlow, I hit my feet with this and I hit random stuff on the floor with it all the time. If you try and tow it and set it down next to stuff like your shoes, you have to first hold it while you put it in, and then like it's really heavy and I'm glad it has it, but it's just like the most inconvenient place for the tow bar. So I'm glad that Anker has it right. Anyways, the F2000 has that GaN technology, the gallium nitride, which makes it super efficient and super quiet. And it's still the only power station that I have in here that has that technology. And that's really good for me because I really care about fan noise. If I've got a constant whining, droning sound, it's gonna drive me crazy. And it's still because of that GaN prime tech that's the only power station I would recommend for someone like me use, because it's quiet. And I know that's not important to everybody, but that's important to me, and that's why I still use it. The marketing material on the Anker SOLIX F2000 says that it can handle surges with its surge pad technology of up to 3,600 watts. But I also have their newer, smaller C1000, which with its surge pad can handle surges of up to 2,400 watts. But this one can start my air conditioner that trips anything that says it can't handle up to 4,000 watts, but it's also newer. And if you want to see my review of the Anker SOLIX C1000, that should already be on my channel too. And the last thing that I don't really love about it, there's no always on function. So if it dies and you have it plugged into some solar panels, once the sun comes up, it's not going to turn the inverter back on. You have to do that yourself. And I know there's more effective ways to lay out those solar panels in my backyard, but I'm always testing lots of different products, and when I have them laid out this way, at almost no point in the day are any of the panels in each other's shadow, so I don't have to rearrange them, and it just kind of works for me. And if you want to see my original review on it, you can go check that video out. And while I sit here surrounded by all this stuff from Anker SOLIX, this video was sponsored by them, and so I do appreciate that very much. They did provide me another F2000 to review and talk about, but the concept of the video was my own, and all the opinions that I expressed here were my own. I like that they use the GaN prime tech in it, and it keeps it quiet in my studio, and I really hope that their house battery system has that same GaN prime technology. I'm looking forward to learning more about it. In the conditions of the sponsorship though, they did want me to tell you can save $700 off their system with solar right now, or $400 off just the F2000, plus another $79 cash back. And to get ready to enjoy the perks for this upcoming Labor Day. There's links to where you can get it in the description of this video. All right, let's see if those dunks worked. You see any mosquitoes? I don't see any. Oh, maybe there's a few, but there's not a lot of movement. I think it's working. All right, let's check in on these tomorrow. I meant tomorrow for me, not tomorrow for you. This is right now for you. I waited a whole day. Now let's go check it out. Oh, that was a spider web. Oh my God, I thought my hand was just enveloped by mosquitoes. No, we're good. No mosquitoes, no movement. Everything's dead. Dunks work. Nice.